Hey everyone, April Cox here, just going live and answering your self-publishing questions. So feel free to post your question on YouTube or join me live. I will post the link to my Zoom session and you are welcome to join me here. All right. Hello, welcome. Welcome, Grace.
Hi, April.
How are you?
I'm good. How are you? How's your throat? I know it's ear.
Feeling a little better. Hopefully it'll hang in there.
Yes.
Do you have any specific question that you'd like to get help with today?
Yeah, let me kind of piggyback on the first question I asked earlier today. So you said, yeah, that even though the Amazon size or trim is exactly the same as the Instagram, that I still need it to be done specifically for Ingram Spark.
That's right.
Yes, and you said something. I know I came in at the end, but you said something to me about, the price shouldn't be exponentially high,
Right.
to do that. And I'm doing it with the same person that did
Right.
the Amazon. So it looks like I'm going to pay $100 uh, for Ingram, and then to make it hardcover, it will be additional 40. What do you think about that?
I don't think that's bad.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
I think I think that's a good
That's
approach.
reasonable. Okay. Perfect. Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay, welcome guys. Feel free to go ahead and post your questions. I am just going to see if I can't get everything settled here and post the links on YouTube. So bear with me for just a moment.
Sure. And April, since I'm a newbie, I just wanted to say I didn't know we could pose the questions for you.
Yeah, that's
So
fine.
I
No
will
problem.
do that.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. Actually, you can take yourself off of mute. That's perfectly fine. We only have a small number of people here so far, so that's
Okay.
absolutely fine. I'm just trying to make sure I can post the comments on YouTube as well, give people an opportunity to know where they can ask their questions. All right, let's see. Okay. So Grace, tell me a little bit about your book. Do you have anything that you're working on right now?
Yes, it's been quite a journey, and I know that's not anything strange to you. So, but the great thing is that I haven't given up, right? So, um, I'm learning a lot, researching, and I actually did most of my writing before the pandemic, and
Okay.
yeah, so during the pandemic, I kind of went back and did my first editing, like self-editing, if you would.
Okay.
And while I was doing that, of course, as you know already, um, it's it's a big universe of resources. So sometimes you don't know which one, right? So that was a lot of pressure to try to figure out just the right help for what I'm writing about. And I'm writing something inspirational um, along the lines of strengthening relationships in like a church community.
Nice. Wonderful. Where's your biggest challenge right now?
My biggest challenge, there's been a lot of challenges. My biggest challenge is something you talk a lot about, which is, mailing lists,
Hmm.
you know, knowing what your audience wants and how they want it, uh,
Right.
so you can tailor it. Um, I think one of the biggest ones for me was how do I make this, even though women, I define women as my primary audience, but
Right.
you can imagine my topic would appeal to guys too. And I started out with beta readers very early. So I have a lot of guy fans, that
Mhm.
that just say, "Oh, this is good. This is good." So I was like, when it comes to selecting colors and just messaging, how do I make sure I don't become too girly and chase away
Right.
my guy readers, right?
Yeah. Well, I definitely, when I first started, I had to I actually hired somebody for branding to help me come up with a logo. And I thought it was, a strange question when they said, well, what kind of colors do you like? And they started throwing out all these different like color schemes and wanted me to put together like pictures that inspire me. And I was like, why are they doing this? I just want a logo. But it's true that typography and colors, they set a mood and the stage for what comes next, whether it's from your website or from, some of the things that you're creating for your books and your brand as an author. So it is very important. And it is, starting that Canva has some nice mood boards. If you actually do a little bit of searching on Canva, just search for mood boards and you'll see like different types of mood boards, and you can play around with that and kind of discover some things for yourself, but also taking a look at some of the folks that are really experts at branding that really can help you. For example, Sandy Shaw, for the Authorpreneur Summit, she talked about branding and messaging, and she's a great person to connect with regarding some of the branding and designing of your look and your website.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, that has been a challenge. Yes. Um,
And I'm going to put the email address for Sandy. It's sandy@brandifyhq.com. And if you haven't had an opportunity to check out her session at the Authorpreneur Summit, it was really good. But I also have a couple of other sessions on my YouTube channel where I interview her, and she provides some great insights about branding and colors and all of that kind of thing. So I think that's a good place to start.
Thank you. And I'm glad you said that because yesterday I was like binge watching all your sessions and I
Mhm.
think hers was one
Yeah.
yesterday and I really enjoyed her. And which brings me to the point of I may have heard someone suggest this to you already, um, that it would help to have the names and titles maybe. I don't know how much tech effort that will take, but maybe have their names.
Yeah, I have all of that in the vault with all of the for the premium pass
Oh,
holders. And some of we meant to go in and make sure that all of the links were all in there in the YouTube, but now I'm retiring the YouTube sessions because we have to close it out after a week. So eventually we'll get all of that put together. And I'm working on a summary of the events and all of the things that were discussed at the summit. So I'll also work on trying to add those that information to that document as well.
Thank you. Yeah, your interviews were really good. And you just have a thing for asking questions because you're really asking from author's perspective. And I mean, it just goes to show like you've been there, done that, you know.
Thank you.
You just know what to ask that will benefit us. Yeah, thanks.
Yeah, you're welcome. Anyone else have questions you'd like to ask? The floor is open and I'm here to help. Go ahead and take yourself off of mute. Go ahead, Susie.
Well, I have a question. I published my book actually the last day of August, and I'm pretty pleased with how well it's going. I mean, I've sold 300 and maybe 30 copies so far. So that, but there is a big discrepancy between the invoice that I get for ads and the ads themselves. And I feel like I need somebody to try to make sense of I mean, I ended up pausing probably 20 ads because I felt like they just weren't doing anything. And then I started 3 or 4 now just within the last week or so that are pretty basic. But I mean, even when the dates were exactly lined up when I got the invoice for the ads and looked exactly at that date for what I was showing, the discrepancy was like I'd have 2 clicks and they'd have 17 clicks. So I don't know if I'm not looking at the filters and then I never
That's
can
what
get.
I would wonder is about the filtering. Maybe you've archived some things, or maybe.
Well, I don't know. And then it never shows targeting on the left as far as keywords.
What do you mean?
Well, I mean, you're supposed to be able to look at the keywords that you're looking for or that you're trying to and see whether they're getting impressions or clicks. I see nothing. So as I said,
Yeah,
I'm a little.
It's just about learning how to navigate because all of that information is there. I have a session coming up a week from today at 8 p.m. Eastern. So at this time slot next week, I have a session where I'm going to be talking about Amazon ads. And let me just double check the time. I could be wrong. It could be oh yeah, so the session it's at 1 p.m. Eastern. And I will record it and very likely once it's edited, I'll post it on YouTube. But it is available for anybody to attend if you are a member of my mastermind or you've purchased a premium pass from the summit, you get to come for free. Otherwise, I think it's $25. So it's a 90-minute session. And I'm going to be talking about managing Amazon ads with purpose. And that is a really good opportunity to get some questions answered. And I'll go over my particular method of managing Amazon ads. And I'm happy to do that. I'm also planning on doing more around Amazon ads and teaching in small groups some Amazon ad sessions because I've had so many people that really need a little bit of hand holding in that area. So I'm thinking, maybe groups of 6 or something like that, where you're actually able to share what you're seeing and we can learn and I can help you grow with your knowledge of the Amazon ads.
Yeah, I had the same problem with Facebook ads. I mean, when I click on through the ad manager, it says something like $57 spent, but that was on a previous campaign that I did maybe 3 years ago.
Yeah.
And so I have no idea if it's spending or what's going on, but I think there probably could be a little bit more in helping you to understand these things. But what would make the discrepancy though, as I said, if it said clicks, 17 to 2 is quite different.
Yeah, I think it has to be, it has to be the same time frame. And sometimes Amazon's just behind. The dashboard that you're looking at in ads can be behind. So I'm not surprised that there's a discrepancy. And sometimes it's not explainable. But if you have questions that aren't answered and you're sure that you're able to log in and you're looking at the same exact time frame, then you should be able to match it. And if not, then I would open up a ticket, a help desk ticket, and ask them to answer that question, because
Okay.
it should absolutely tie out for you. I'm going to do one thing here and pull up some ads just so that we can take a look at a couple of things here. Let's see. I just want to answer that question about how to find the targeting and what you're doing with targeting.
Right. That's kind of strange, as I said, because for any of the ads I've run, I just don't see targeting on the left. And I thought, well, how do you bring that up? Because that has to be what you're looking for in terms of whether it's doing you any good or not.
Yeah, so what I'm going to do, I'm just going to drag this over. This is one of the ad dashboards that I have, and you can see right now I have a filter applied for enabled, active status being enabled. So there's a couple of things. You need to make sure your date range
right
is correct, and then make sure that there's no any filter here is deleted, so that it can come in and show you everything within that date range. And then you can also sometimes what happens is, instead of just turning ads off like I've done here, you can come over and archive them. And if you do archive them, like if we did something like the bulk actions, if you archive it, it can remove it so that it's no longer tallied. So if you regularly archive things, that could
I was trying to figure out, because it is kind of confusing when you're looking at the archives all mixed up into the. Can you ever just get rid of them altogether?
Well, what I just do is I filter by active.
Oh, active status. Okay.
And I'll just say enabled, so that way I don't have to look at them. And that gives me the ability to see only the ones that are active. So here's one.
Okay. Now, if you go, now why does mine does not have targeting on the left? How do you get targeting there?
Yeah. So here, like when you click into any of your ads, let's just video. If when you click into an ad, you do not see targeting on the left side, that means you must first click into this ad group, and only then you'll see your targeting. And it depends on what kind of an ad you're running. Sometimes you'll come in and click on an ad and you'll see targeting up there. Certain ads allow you to see it, but here's all the keywords that I'm targeting for this Christmas book for Bobby Hinman. So
so I mean, do you feel like it looks like you got some, mine seem to be minimal as far as the impressions and clicks and everything else. But
I know to talk about that in this upcoming session. It takes time. I want to show you when I do lifetime for this author that I've been managing ads for. I'll show you the kind of thing that when we get started here, I'm going to go to all campaigns and I'm going to show the lifetime for the time that I spent with her. And this is kind of my input. I started helping her with ads in February of 22. And
it took that long to.
Yeah. And the reason why it took so long to start getting things moving is because her books were out there for many years with having no ads run to them. So it's not like it was a brand new book that was getting some ads. So it took a while, and you can see, we had
Yeah.
little bits of things happening. And then, so if, like many people, they run it for a month or two, and if they're not seeing anything, they give up. But look
See,
at
I probably should not have archived
Yeah.
them and just let them had more time, and I didn't.
Exactly. And so here, look at what she would have missed out on here. This is just December so far,
Right.
1,793 orders for December on this particular group of campaigns. So
Right.
not really all of the organic stuff that she's doing as well. And this is, it took a while, because overall the ACOS on this, which is, the return on her investment,
Right.
is 45%. But then when I look at what we've been doing, say for this month, and the month of December, you can see the level of what's been happening here. And it's, we're looking at continuing to bring down the ACOS, being more profitable. And if we look at even the last 7 days, I'm really working on getting better and better and better and more dialed in and more dialed in. And so that's what I'm going to be talking about next week, is
Right.
how to manage ads with a purpose. At the beginning, your purpose is going to be getting some traction, getting some eyeballs on the book. But there's got to be more than that, right? So we're going to talk about the types of things that are important to consider when you're running Amazon ads, and how to manage them also, in order to be as successful as possible.
That sounds, so it's, did you say 1 o'clock Eastern time? I'm on Mountain time. So
1 p.m. Eastern is when the Amazon ads session will be held. It's going to be 90 minutes. And if anybody is interested in checking it out, you can go to selfpubmadesimple.com/upcoming events, or just go to the website selfpubmadesimple.com, and you'll see a link for upcoming events, and you'll see that one is there to allow people to go ahead and register for that.
now that was quite a bit of money, $700 a day. Is that kind of what you have to do, is really?
Well, it depends. So we started with Bobby with a couple $100 a month in her budget. And then as we continued to see, one of her books just really took off. It's called I Saw Santa's Underpants. And for some reason this year, because we released the book last year, but this year that book just took off, and it is now, I think it's ranked around 1,200 of all books on Amazon right now. It's a self-published book we did together, and but it's taken off. So when you're putting in $1 and you're getting back $3 worth of,
yeah, right.
then the best thing to do, especially when you see that traction just take off,
Put on more dollars.
Keep giving it more dollars, because it's going to keep turning that around for you. And it's not often you see that kind of thing happen, but when it does, you want to take advantage of that. And we say, feed the beast. Amazon is the beast, as long as it's giving you more and more money. At the beginning, when you first start Amazon ads, it's just about visibility, and it's about getting data. And then it's about converting, right? So you kind of, your goals kind of shift, and then it's about, okay, converting at a better rate each time. And so you continue to work towards those things, and getting indexed for specific terms that are very popular in your genre. Those kinds of things are really great goals to have for your ads. And you can do that. You can measure that. And that's the types of things that I'll go over on Wednesday.
Yeah, I think probably I'm not alone in, I'm pleased with how the book is doing, but I'm not alone in probably having never done this ad part before, just knowing kind of, should I be putting more money in, or should I, as I said, once they're paused, you can't unpause them, can you, or can you?
You can. Yeah, but once they're archived, you cannot unarchive them.
Yeah, I maybe have archived. I think I
That's what
got
I'm thinking, because that's probably what has impacted your ability to be able to correctly tally everything where it doesn't match. That tells me you probably did archive them.
Right. Okay. So that needs to be remedied also.
Yeah. Yep.
Okay. Okay. That sounds good.
All
Yeah,
right.
I
Awesome.
think that would be helpful. Definitely.
All right. Anyone else have any questions I can answer for you? Hi, AJ. Hi, Mac. Mac, do you want to take yourself off mute and ask your question? I'll read it here just in case you're having some trouble getting yourself off mute. Max says, a comment made by Josh during the Authorpreneur Summit regarding trademarks was the first time I'd ever heard anyone say authors can't trademark and own the title of their book. However, you can trademark the name of a series like Harry Potter. Have you ever encountered that USPTO ruling? Yeah, a title is not a trademark allowed to be trademarked in the sense that it is only a title. Now, there are some people that have, they have more than just, like, they use a specific catchphrase. Like, let's just say, Geico, it's 15 minutes or you're, for 15% reduction in auto insurance or whatever, spend 15, those kinds of things, people do trademark. And now, could a trademarked term like that end up becoming a title of a book? Maybe, but it can't be trademarked just as a title of a book, just because it's a title of a book. So hopefully that is helpful. And by the way, I've got Josh to come back and or to agree to come back and do some additional Q&A around trademarks and the Patent and Trademark Office. So I am working with him to get his availability. So I would say keep an eye on upcoming events. If you're not already a part of my Learn to Self-Publish community, or you're not subscribed to my email list, then I would highly recommend subscribing, because as I schedule all these new sessions and things, that's where the best way to find out about it is through my mailing list or through my Facebook group. Okay. All right, let me see. Any other questions I can help you with?
So I've been watching the Summit series, and it's really, really awesome. Again, thank you so much for putting this on. So much helpful information. So I was watching AG Billig, and it was really interesting what she was saying about book launches. A lot of things I had not considered or even heard of. So I was wondering, this is not necessarily related to book publishing, books per se, like just asking questions, but could you talk about some of the book launches that you've done?
Oh, sure. One of the things that I've never done anything fancy like A.G. Bellig was talking about, how she actually acted out a scene in her book and put on, it was like a theater event and got all dressed up and made it like a premiere. That sounds like a really cool way of doing a great book launch. I have more focused around helping authors to create launch teams and really utilizing launch teams to help launch a book. And what I usually recommend with my authors is that we find 100 people. Now, that could be family, friends, it could be colleagues. I hope the majority of it are people that are in your target audience that would be willing to help you with launching your book. And they're invested. Hopefully you have been, since you've started writing the book, you've been telling people about it. You've been sharing your journey on social media. So I say get 100 people to say, yes, I will help be a part of your launch team. And even if only half of them come through, with that, and follow through and do a review for you at the end of that launch, then you still end up launching with 50 reviews, right? So, but nurturing and creating that launch team is really helpful, and also making it fun for them, making sure that they understand what it is that you're asking for. Typically, what I'm asking them to do is get a copy of the book. Usually I try to keep the amount low for my launch team, meaning I'm launching a 99-cent ebook. And what their commitment is, they're going to get the 99-cent ebook during launch week. And there's usually a 2-day period I try to drive them to grab the 99-cent ebook, review and read the book, and then review it. And that's what the launch team opportunity is, right? They get an early copy of the book. Maybe they get an ARC copy. They get to participate in something special. Maybe you do something for them, doing some giveaways, or you do something that kind of gives them some behind the scene peeks at things. Maybe, get them together on a Zoom and answer some questions about the book, something that's going to really matter to them. And then you ask them to purchase, review the book, share to others. And that in itself is, as long as you've got those kinds of numbers, you are going to get to the point where you have a bestseller right out of the gate, because you've done your work on keywords and categories, and you're taking advantage of that honeymoon period from Amazon, where they're giving you some extra love. You're driving traffic with your launch team. Once you get 5 or so reviews, maybe 10 reviews, you can start fueling the fire by adding Amazon ads and opening up the funnel that way and driving people there. And that is where typically what I'm doing for a book launch. I don't do a lot of those kind of book launch parties and things like that, although some of my authors have done that and have had a blast with it. Sell tickets, and everybody that comes, they get a book, they get, to participate in the event, and then everybody goes home with something. And at some point during the party, maybe they are asking people to access the iPad and go and review the book or do something like that. So what kinds of book launch events have you guys had? I'd love to hear more about what you have done for book launching.
So really the only thing that I've done for book launches so far is blog tours.
Blog tours are a really good way of getting a little bit more visibility. How did that work for you?
It worked mostly pretty well. I got some reviews out of it, and I got some really good visibility and some backlinks for them. And I made some good connections out of it. So overall, I think it was a good experience, but it didn't like go viral or anything. But it was a good experience to make the connections.
How many books do you have?
So on one pen name, I have about maybe 5. And then on another pen name that I'm just starting up with a rebrand, I have about 3.
Okay. Are they in a series?
So on my older pen name, they're all in a series. And then on my newer pen name, it's mostly poetry, and it's about the theme of cats, of feline fiction. And so I'm trying to gear more towards like cat rescues and stuff like that, and just kind of rebranding around that subject.
Okay. How are you doing at putting together a mailing list? Are you doing a good job of driving people to your website?
Yeah, so actually the cat poetry has been my biggest seller, surprisingly. And a lot of people, I put my subscriber link at the end of my book in my back matter. And so people have been signing up that way for the most part. And I also have a blog. Sometimes I get subscribers from reading my blog as well. It's been slow, but I've got some subscribers.
That's great. You just got to keep doing the right things and stay connected with your audience, and make sure that what you're offering with the opt-in is something that's really valuable to them, something that is worth money that they would have paid for, and yet you're giving it away for free. for example, one of the recommendations that I have is if you have, a book or novel or, romance or whatever, imagine if at the beginning of the book you said, go here and sign up for my mailing list and you'll get the free audiobook. That's a huge benefit that people would pay for an audiobook, right? But they get it for free. For my children's book authors, perhaps it's, the full activity book that goes along the companion to the picture book, or maybe it's a video book where they can actually download the video that walks through and has like little animations and things, and that can help a child read along with the book. Those kinds of things are valuable, and you have to figure out for your audience, what are those valuable things that will incent people to give you their email address.
Yes, thank you for all those examples. And that's another great thing I've been learning at the conference. Some examples of reader magnets. Those are really good things.
You're welcome. Awesome. All right. Anybody else have a question I can help you with? I see AJ, you got a comment. Did you want to take yourself off of mute?
I was just, and I don't have the document open, so I have some other links, but once you mentioned Josh, which was very, very helpful. The entire summit was great, but the ones that stood out for me, of course, were the ones that I felt like I had so many questions about prior to that anyway, which were the accounting, taxes, and trademarks and things, and just learning about the serious, what he mentioned about, if you have a serious, then you need to trademark it and all those things. Right. And so that really encouraged me to go to the USPTO site to do a search and see, the name of a possible series that I'm thinking of, if that was already there. And then while I was there, I felt I got lost in that. Whatever, I got caught up.
It's very easy to get
right.
That happen.
We got one link led to another and another, and that's where I found that information. If anybody wanted to copy it, is that they apparently have an 8-part module, which is a live WebEx session where they walk you through the process of doing the trademark application, everything. And then the very last module, part 8, is where they expect you, that's why I put in not parentheses, in quotation marks, to come prepared with your questions, because they're going to have managing attorneys there and other experts there so they can answer your questions too.
That's awesome. Thank you for sharing that. That's fantastic. Very good. Yeah, I do have, like I said, I have Josh coming back. I also have been talking to the author of Accounting for Authors, DF Hart, and she's going to share a little bit about the spreadsheet sample that she created, and being able to determine what your payback period is, or like what's your break-even point and when will that happen. So she's going to walk through a spreadsheet and give us a little bit of information about that, as well as share that additional template with us. So again, I'm still working with some of these guys because of the upcoming holidays. I want to make sure I don't schedule so much prior to Christmas that people can't make it. I know everybody's out there doing their shopping and preparing for Christmas and finalizing things at work so that they can take some vacation time with their families. So I may see some of that stuff coming together after the holiday. But yes, that's going to be awesome. And speaking of which, I also want to take a moment to talk to you folks out there who have children's books and are looking for some hand-holding and some help to publish your children's book. I have an upcoming author work group, which is I've branded the 90-day way, and I'm going to be walking authors through the process from, you have to have a manuscript that's, not finalized, but at least written. If you've got a children's book written and you're confused and you really need to know, how do I publish this? Then the author work group that I'm talking about is is absolutely phenomenal. It's 90 days to go from your manuscript being complete to being ready to click publish on your book. So we go through editing, we go through illustrations, design, and we go through the publishing process, how to upload things on Amazon, how to come up with great keywords and categories. And it is hands-on twice a week. We have live group coaching sessions. I have a course and a workbook and all of the things that you need to be successful. And the class begins on January 16th. So if that is something that sounds like it would be of interest to you, then I invite you to go to Self-Pub Made Simple. And let me just share, I'll just share my screen and go show that a little bit. I'm going to go to, we'll go to selfpubmadesimple.com. And then the 90-day way is what comes up here first. And there we go. So the most comprehensive and proven step-by-step path to launching your children's book. So it gives you, they give you the list of modules. Every week you have a new module, you have video lessons. We get together with weekly 90-minute coaching sessions on Tuesdays and Thursdays. And we go through, you have lifetime access to all of those things. We have Q&A sessions. We also have a vault filled with tools and templates, things like an author illustrator contract and press kit templates, press release, all of the stuff that you need to work with your editors and your illustrators, a pre-vetted list of people that I work with, marketing support, budget templates, all of the different things that you need to be successful. And the price of the 12-week program is $14.99. This is going to be the last time it's going to be offered for that price. So if this is something that you are interested in, then I would recommend signing up prior to the end of the year, because things are filling up pretty quickly. And the seating is limited, just so that we can make sure that we have enough people coaching and helping, doing the hand holding for the folks that are on board. So if that's something that you're interested in, I do invite you to join me. And it is quite an amazing journey with a group of authors all working on their children's books together. And a lot of times I have people asking me, does, would this work for my chapter book or my novel? And the answer is usually, it really depends. But usually, yes, as long as you are along, have moved along a little bit in your editing process. And because children's book authors are going to go through probably, a couple of months of illustration. So that's not typically something that others who have adult books need to worry about. So during that time, kind of instead of doing illustrations, you're going to find yourself doing a lot more with editing. And so that editing kind of fills that spot instead. Now, with this 12-week program, every single week, we're going to learn something about marketing. We're going to cover marketing topics every single week. You're going to learn about email lists and websites, and I'll have guest speakers coming in and talking about these things. We'll have some hands-on sessions to help you learn. And it makes for a very collaborative effort and very much a facilitated session where you are actually getting the hand-holding that you need to be successful. So I'm happy to answer any questions about that. Or if you want to, I'm glad to open it up for other questions as well. Okay.
April, this is Grace.
Hi, Grace.
I had put a question at the very top of the chat, and right after you said we could post questions. And I think, yeah, it was good to let other people, of course, ask questions also. So the question that I was thinking about asking for LCCN is that I made the mistake because I didn't know of uh, requesting a PCN.
Mhm.
And like a couple of hours after, I sent another request asking Library of Congress to cancel it. So that way I can just request my LCCN.
Mhm.
The thing is, it's funny that within 6 days, they approved the PCN and they never said anything about the cancellation. And I was like, okay, I don't want to bombard them with another,
Right.
because I know they get a lot. So I just said, let me just wait. If I give them a week or two, maybe they will finally get to the cancellation. So they never did.
Mhm.
I bring this up because I think it was just yesterday. I just went and activated that account. How I met you was actually through an article that a book expert had written about LCCN, where he said that even with self-publishing authors, that sometimes he will do a PCN, account, but it doesn't really matter because as long as you're not using it to apply for a SIP, because you're not qualified for that anyway, as long as you don't use it for that, you can still use it to get your LCCN. So I dropped him a quick email. I said, okay, since I read your article and I saw that you do this sometimes for your clients, and I'm
Mhm.
just really trying to do the self-publishing, program. And
Right.
he said, you know what? You didn't do anything wrong, that's what they approved. Yeah, go ahead and use it,
Mhm.
because as long as you're not applying for a SIP as a publisher, you're good, just go ahead and use it. But I was kind of, I'm new to this. So I was kind of like, oh, should I, you know?
Fine. I think you're fine. Usually, it takes longer to
Okay.
to get that. So, you're good. You can use that, and you can still, get your Library of Congress control number. And when you apply, I always recommend that you do apply for a CIP block, but instead of going through the Library of Congress as an independent author, you need to go through cipblock.com.
Mhm.
And then you can get, I'll put that in the chat, cipblock.com. They will provide CIP blocks for independent publishers.
Okay.
So I would definitely do that.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. You're welcome. I'm glad it's working out for you, and you're doing all the right things,
Thank you.
getting everything in place, which is fabulous. Yeah, good. And one of the most important things you can do is just make sure that you have a high quality book, you have a beautiful cover, those things that so that it shouldn't look like a self-published book, right? Self-published books can get a bad name at times because of some of the garbage that ends up getting introduced by people that are just don't know any better, or they're there to create, and release a bunch of books because they heard it was a great way to make passive income. So we've had a slew of low quality books hitting the market, and my mission is to help people create high quality books that can compete with any traditionally published book out there on a bookshelf. So that's the most important thing. And in order to do that, you need to make sure you have a really great editor, a professional editor that you're working with to make sure that your words are well designed and flow well, that you have a really good story arc. And from a developmental perspective, from a grammar perspective, all of that stuff, it is really solid. And then have a great cover design, because that's going to be another surefire way of turning people off. You can have a great story, but if you have a lousy cover, not many people are going to even click in to read more about your book. So those are places you want to invest money and invest time to make sure you do a really professional job.
Can I ask you a question?
Of course.
When you're doing the book blurb, I have tried to get, I know they say you should bold it or whatever. Mine does not bold. Is there some trick to getting it to bold, or, just the blurb itself, not the description? Say that again.
Are you on KDP when you do
Yeah.
it?
Uh-huh.
So it's not.
I mean, it's been published for 3 months, but I've just changed the blurb around here and there. But when I go back in to try to bold it, it looks like it's going to, but it doesn't. Then I thought, well, maybe I should make it capitals, to stand out. But I mean, I've seen others with the bold, and I just didn't know quite why.
Yeah, they do allow you to have bold. Sometimes what happens is some weird characters get in there and you can't even see them, and it messes it up. So when you go into KDP, there's a way that you can look at the source code. So like the HTML source, I would go in there and make sure everything's cleared out, and then go back into the words and then just paste in your words blank, so that then you can highlight and you won't have any issues with any bolding or anything like that. There was a time when KDP wouldn't allow us to do any bolding. There was no way of doing it. And Dave Chesson put together a tool where you could go and generate your description, and he would give you the bold and all of the things you could do. You generate the code, and then you plop it in there, and then it would show the way that you want it to show. He still does have that tool available on kindlepreneur.com. So that's an option if you're having, if it's not working any other way.
I
haven't
I'll try it.
The issue with that otherwise. Yeah.
What are your thoughts about getting your book into libraries? I've sent to a bunch of libraries, and I just never hear back from them.
Yeah, it's a marketing effort, right? You need, number one, in order to really be considered seriously by a library, they would like to know that you've got some professional reviews on your book. So if you have a Kirkus review or school library journal or Midwest book review, and you can do a good job. Basically, I would send a cover letter or show up personally with a copy of the book. Because one of the things that happens with librarians all the time is they get emailed by self-published authors that want them to carry their books, and they're just low quality, right? So some of them will just say right out front, we don't carry any self-published book. Or they won't say that, but that sentiment is there. So however, if you are visiting your local library, you take your high quality, beautiful book with a professional cover and you show them what you have. You introduce yourself and you ask them how you can help them. Are they putting together any kinds of events that you can be a part of to read your book or read an excerpt from your book? Maybe do a book signing, things like that. But get to know those librarians in your area and start there. And, you can continue to grow once one library picks it up, and then you can say, oh, and, it's been picked up by such and such a library. Are you interested in it as well?
Would you say the bookstore is the same? I mean, because I've actually gone in person to the libraries, and they say, well, we have a policy. You have to go through somebody, and that's when you just never hear back. Do you think it's the same with the bookstores? But you're better off maybe there appearing in person?
I think it's wise to appear in person to the bookstores as well, because you're able to represent yourself professionally, professional product. They will take the time to see and talk with you. And I think that it's easier to leave a good impression. And I know one of the authors I work with quite often is also my editor, Bobby Hinman. She'll even leave, she has children's books. She'll even leave them with a copy of the children's book and say, here, why don't you, I'm going to leave this with you as a gift. and
Right.
I'll follow up with you in a few days, and you can let me know if there's any opportunity to work together. And she has plans of, hey, she puts together fairy parties where because she writes fairy books, and she wears her fairy wings, and she brings a ton of traffic into the stores. She's got a plan in her mind that is going to help the store drive traffic.
Right.
So of course they want to work with her. So try to think on not what they can do for you, but what you can do for them, and really
Right.
talk about what's in it for them. Supporting a local author is important, right? Having a local author book signing, that's wonderful. But what else can you do? Is there a book theme that you can, that would be interesting, or an idea to make something really fun, an event that people can experience, and that the bookstore would be happy to sponsor or to hold there at their location. It's not an easy thing, but thinking creatively outside the box can really go a long way.
Right. Perfect. Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay. We are just 5 minutes left.
Okay.
Well, I see AJ, go ahead. You had a hand raised. Go ahead.
Yes, I'm sorry. I had my hand up about the CIP block earlier when you were talking about it. But before I do that, a couple of things that she said, I wanted to provide a couple of comments to. Bobby's book, and I have it right next to me, How to Create a Successful Children's Picture Book. She has two books. I have both of them, two different books, but this is the one where she has like little short chapters, like 1 or 2 pages on school visits, or if you're doing a book fair. So there's and I really love it because she breaks it down by each type of outreach and everything else. So that's a good book to have. And then you were asking, I can't remember, I think it was about the libraries or how to get into the libraries. I cannot, my memory is bad, so, but I cannot remember the name of what is it? Through the libraries, they have for ebooks, they have some type of independent author. I can't remember, but there's an opportunity to submit your ebooks through some type of local author stand.
Yeah, it's the Indie Author Project.
Now, Indie Author, okay. And then the other thing was you had a speaker last year that I really enjoyed, and that his whole focus was the libraries, and he has all that. He already has cover letters. He has a list of thousands of libraries that he's already come in contact with. And I keep saying I'm going to buy his package and everything, but I'm just not there yet to where I'm ready to get to that stage. But when I do, I'm going to buy that package from him, and it was very reasonable.
Yeah.
He got up on the prices now, but it was like $60 or something. It was very reasonable. He has the whole database of all the libraries, how to approach them, the cover letters, everything. And because that's his, but I just can't remember his name, but I know I have it saved somewhere.
Yeah, I do. I was just thinking of looking that up. So, and I have so many interviews that we've done on my YouTube channel. I just finished uploading my 300th video.
Wow.
So there's a lot of great information that you can find on the channel. Let me just see if I search for library, because I remember the speaker that you're talking about.
I'll have to, I could always look them up in my email later, because I know I communicated with them at that time. I just haven't used the service yet because I'm not there yet. But my question about the CIP block was, when you were mentioning or talking about it earlier. So, okay, so, and I'm asking for budget reasons too, to figure out how I pay, how much I'm going to have to pay total. So the book that I'm working on, I want it as an English only version and a dual language version. So that's 2 books already, 2 ISBNs, right? Just in thought. But then also, I think you said we should always do an ebook. I'm not sure if you said soft cover and hardcover, but always try to do an ebook. So I'm thinking that's another ISBN, right?
It is another ISBN, but the LCCN is just one LCCN for all of the different.
CIP.
And then
block, is that the same as
just the one?
Let me just make sure. So the CIP block is the same thing as the LCCN? Is that what, okay. Okay, so I'm going to write that down. So you're saying the LCCN is what?
The library
all?
Conference control number is free.
Okay.
And I
And
do have a step-by-step video to walk through that on the channel. So if you do,
okay, so I'll check that. But is that, so does that is that what is normally the same thing regardless of how the format of the book, whether it's ebook or?
it is for all of the formats of one particular, so ebook, paperback, hardcover,
Mhm.
but it isn't the same with regard to the like different language versions. So if you have a different version, whether it's translated differently, or that would need its own separate
Right, one for each version.
yeah, one for each version.
And then, so, but for the CIP, that's what I was wondering. So that changes. I mean, would I need like 6 of those?
No, you would just need the CIP block for your English only version, and then one for your dual language version.
Okay, and so then I'm trying to write it before I forget. So, okay, so then the ISBN, then that's where I might need like 6 of those, because I think you said there's ISBN for each type, right?
Right. Ebook, paperback, hardcover. Yes. And then and then the same for the other. Now I will say, if you decide you're not going to go wide with your ebook, meaning you're just going to stay exclusive to Amazon, then you could just take the free ISBN from Amazon for your ebook. If you plan, or you think potentially you might go wide later, meaning getting that ebook into Apple and Google Books and other Smashwords and Kobo and all of those other places, then you're going to want to have an ISBN for it. Actually one of your own ISBNs.
Right. It's just easier to do that. And I think they either have 1, 100, or 1,000. You have a choice, but there's no in between, or maybe there's 10,
Oh, yeah, you can do 10.
Yeah.
If you're purchasing ISBNs through Boker, which is myidentifiers.com, it's 10 for $295 for the US. I'm always jealous for those countries that don't have to pay.
I know.
It doesn't, and there are some others that get their ISBNs for free, and I'm always jealous because it can be a big hit in the pocketbook when you have to pay for that.
Well, thank you for clarifying, because I'm a little bit mixed up about the CIP versus the LCC, and I can see them in the books, but I wasn't sure about how you pay for it and how many you need for each version or each format.
Awesome. All right. Well, we are at the top of the hour. I will say good night and wish you well. I hope to see you next week when we're talking about Amazon ads. And I will be here on Wednesdays at 1 o'clock Eastern and 8 p.m. Eastern to answer any questions that you have on self-publishing. So keep coming back, keep learning, and I'll talk to you then.